so.
And remember at the beginning, start with the date and time
How are you?
and title of the meeting.
I don't know that we're here yet, so.
Did I get muted or did you all get really quiet?
Everybody got quiet for a second.
Oh, okay.
Recording, bing, and everybody shut up.
They have a copy of today's packet. Where's the guy from Plainfield?
I'll be here in a minute.
This is cozy.
It is really, I don't read that.
Try not to.
Are we expecting Vicky John?
I don't know, Jack, are we expecting Dick and John?
Didn't say yes or no, and Kessel didn't say yes or no.
What about Steve?
Steve Benke was supposed to be here.
I have it if you can attach to
What
it.
is it now? No, I was looking for today's packet. And these have got my name on it.
Oh, is that in case you're forgetting it?
Yep.
You look at the pen, you go, oh, that's why I'm like that. Where's our, newspaper?
That's part of it.
Yeah, our secretary.
We're recording it.
Yeah.
Why?
All of them. All of them, yeah.
Why is she not here?
She had other commitments that were pre-planned before this meeting was planned.
The person who takes me is Anna. Is that Anna?
What's that? It's this thing, huh? Again.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Not the OMA officer.
Yeah.
And just-
Can I give you that? Please, thank you. I don't forget to give you that. Thank
But
you.
it feels good, doesn't it? It does. Oh, don't get some.
They were at the time, I don't know whether they are or not. Just being a past chairman.
Okay, I'll make sure I don't get any question. You don't- Okay.
Like, since I've been chairman, I haven't been a delegate. I don't even know who I'm a delegate for a long time.
Right.
Second chairman. So I've been around for a while. I try to change the rules.
Only one I'm sure is supposed to be here is Steve. Or so.
Yeah, it's not quite 6 o'clock anyways.
I spoke to him last night and he didn't say one.
I thought he said he was.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another bank robbery.
Sitting up.
Could be.
That was Jack. That's
No,
why he
you
couldn't.
never know. Maybe there's another bank robbery.
That was totally wild.
Is there any more water?
Yeah, I don't even know.
Maybe
where
it's
the
not
water-
hot.
I don't even know
Oh,
where the
I'd
water
love
is.
some.
Yeah.
I thought of one.
Thank you.
She's still vice president.
No idea.
Different place, but
Oh,
she used to
I
work
like
at
that
that,
on Sweet Nice.
Fifth Third down,
Sweet Nice I use only. And something
Not
spilled
Jefferson.
inside of there. and
59, about 59.
Section.
Oh, okay.
And,
down there,
you know,
the Shell station down there, almost to Jefferson.
That's what's great.
And we went to,
all over, so I got
something up from
unsweetened.
one night several years ago.
Not drinkable
Oh,
As we
in my
walked,
car, and I got.
as we walked down.
Thank you.
Bank robbers
I
walked
should
in,
have put surprised that they
because it
didn't.
was right at closing
Thank you.
time.
Oh, okay.
They held them up,
They don't have any here. They put the
you
coffee.
know,
Yeah.
hands up and all that stuff. Nobody
I
got,
should like. them nice too, so that's what
their
kind of
instructions are
cycle
pretty
I am.
clear. Just give them
Everybody
money.
needs to
Right.
be 10,000. No sweet, no.
That's what they're supposed
I mean, I
to
can't.
do.
I'll get it. I love that I have all this now.
We got
No, I think so, but.
It was, because I thought, oh, that's not too big.
Yeah, the chances of me putting something are.
We're gonna start.
Okay, I'm gonna shut this door just because we don't want to be in here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Not gonna be held up.
Okay. Recording has begun.
You ready? Okay. Call the meeting to order. Start off with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got a prayer time. Oh, Jim's here.
Yeah,
Official
you
check.
remember me.
What's your name?
I don't know. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening. Please guide us in our deliberations and help us to make prudent and wisest decisions for those whom we serve. Amen.
Please make sure you see the time.
The meeting is begun. It's 6 p.m. on May 17th, 2022.
Go to the roll call, please.
President Jack Phillip,
Present.
Secretary Denise Williams, present. Sergeant at Arms Amanda Coe,
Present.
Chaplain Jim Singler,
Present.
Member Janet Lou,
Present.
Member Steve Beneke,
Absent.
Past Chair Vic Martinka,
Absent.
Past Chair John Kessel,
Absent.
Past Chair John York,
Absent.
Past Chair Wayne Horn,
Here.
Lisa McLaughlin, Judge Advocate.
Here.
Okay, we've got 2 vacancies listed on this.
It should
Tom,
no,
should be one.
Bill Naked.
Yeah. Tom. It's here. Let me put his name back in.
Right after Steve.
Tom Milnick, member.
Right. Present.
Okay. Mr. President, we do have one. For his special executive.
No guests. Or first time attendee.
Only guest is Assistant State's Attorney Chris Weiss, present.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is verification of board members' eligibility. Spit it out. We seem to have one problem with the 40 and 8. There's not a state or federal charter group.
I looked into this and I couldn't find anything online, so I called 40 and 8 headquarters. And I actually spoke to someone there and they did not have a federal charter.
They have a state charter?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Private.
Private.
They didn't even know what a charter was. And the lady had been working there for 20 years. Now, she did say that they do have a safety deposit box. They were going to check on that on Tuesday when whoever, she wouldn't actually give me a lot of information, came back in. they would check in there, but federal charter is something that they would know about, just like the Legion, the VFW. They're all federally chartered, and they've got it readily available on their websites. So that's an issue.
Sorry, could someone clarify what is the 48?
40 and 80.
40 and 8, is it?
It goes back to World War II. 40 people or 8 horses could fit on a train car. It is a private organization of members that are by invitation only.
It actually goes back to World War I.
Is it World War One?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're an offshoot of the Legion and they separated, I think, in 1956.
So you have to be a member of the Legion.
Not
Not necessarily.
Yeah, I know.
In the 60s, they broke off from the Legion and formed their own group. They formed it as a 501c3 nonprofit, but did not follow up with any charters.
It's by invitation only, and it is not included on the list of Veterans Administration recognized organizations either. They have, the VA puts out a list of
Right.
those
yeah, I went through
organizations
that.
that are congressionally chartered and
State, yeah.
state, and then other organizations that assist and support and are recognized by the
Yeah, I
VA
went
for
through the
their
whole
work.
list on site, online too.
And they are not in there.
Okay,
It's a different type of organization.
So having clarified that, why are we checking on their board? Is it to find out if they can be a member of our board?
right.
We're looking for someplace to slap town.
Well, yeah, the whole idea of it is that because Plainfield selected a new delegate, then that means Tom is no longer the delegate. And then to remove him completely, which was their goal, then they questioned whether or not 40 and 8, whom he is also representing, is eligible to be a member or to send a delegate to the board. And it seems that he is not. My question is going to be then the next step is Tom was the delegate for Plainfield. He was elected to the executive board for a period of 2 years for that term. So at the end of his term on the executive board, then he steps down and he's no longer a delegate or a member of the board and ineligible to run for the board again. Is that what am I understanding this correctly as the course of action?
But if you look at the bylaws, it lays out the requirements for to be a member of the board.
Well,
Now,
when he
Sort
was
of a
elected to the
hazy
board,
area too.
he fits.
yeah,
When he was a member of the board, he was a delegate from
Oh, he
Plainfield
was eligible to
Legion, and he
get
was
elected.
eligible
right,
to be elected and to serve. So the question is then,
right.
and I don't know, it seems my reading doesn't say how you deal with this. Once again,
Right.
we're in a situation that's never come up before, how we deal with it.
Also, as he is an elected member of this board, my feeling is there should be some reason why he's no longer the delegate from that post, as he's in the middle of a term on this board. So I don't have a problem with post-changing delegates. I think that's great. We should always, look for new folks to step up, people have more time, whatever, new ideas. But if you're in the middle of a term serving on board in that capacity, I would assume that there'd have to be some sort of error or vote of no confidence or something that was done incorrectly to take that position from somebody who's using that designation to be elected to the board. Does that make sense?
Right, but we don't have any mechanism for election. We don't have any mechanism for the election until October. There is nothing else in the minutes in our bylaws.
The bylaws, and
So
the
it's
bylaws
this-
don't state at the time of appointment, it just states you must, in order to be a member, and it's not locked down. Excuse me. So I guess my question would be for the organization, what is it, which, the Plainfield American Legion, is that what we're talking about?
Mhm.
What was the purpose and meaning behind changing the delegate? Like, why did that happen?
I guess you didn't.
And
I wanted it that way.
it's possible. As far as everything we know, there's nothing in the bylaws to stop that from happening. So
And we don't.
Suggestion for future might be changing the bylaws to make it so that they can only change a delegate at the election time, but they can add new delegates at any time.
In the laws, a loose interpretation says the election is in October. Enough said.
Right.
You want to stay on the board, Tom?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what we're arguing about.
No, okay,
Yeah,
I thought there was a thing that we were going to take John York off because of having missed several. And so I was then, I was told actually that, let's see how this works. I was gonna be, let's see, I was actually gonna be representing them the 40 and 8. I mean, I'm sorry, representing the post. Vic Martinka is representing the VFW or like VFW.
Legion,
Yeah,
Blackboard.
okay. So, well, yeah, you know, and I would be with the 40 and 8, you know.
I don't know, we
Because I
don't have a
think-
problem. He's
Huh?
not until October.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we can't change anything. if
you
you
gotta
have-
get to be a delegate someplace else. That's all.
Yeah.
You don't get someplace.
Right.
Interim, you just
We gotta
tell
make
you're
our
on the
issues
board
stay with it.
until,
And-
unless or until we have something specific to address this, and I don't know, change the bylaws or address the bylaws again. It seems like every single meeting, we're talking about
Why do we need to
adjusting
change
the
it? Why
bylaws.
do we need to
I
change
agree
it?
with you. I agree with you.
This was just, this is because it was brought up at the last meeting and it has to be addressed. Otherwise, we've got to have the answers for it, because last meeting, we didn't really portray an answer that responded adequately to their questions.
Who's question?
So that's why it's on the agenda, because we needed discussion on this topic.
We just public comment, it was a board,
We-
or that was another delegate's
We
question.
just answered it.
yeah.
Right.
Like we did.
We answered it universally instead of subjectively.
I think
It
the
is
answer,
subjective.
from what I'm gauging, is that we're saying that if something changes in your service, like what's happened to Tom, that we address that at the next election. I mean, there's no reason to,
Remove some.
because the election's in October, so I think we just let it ride. Chris,
Yeah.
we didn't see.
That's basically.
Yeah,
our
I'd
board's
like to
decision.
weigh in on this too. The one thing that our bylaws cannot do is go against the state statute.
Right.
And the state statute doesn't make any reference to the members that we have, the 3 additional members.
Mhm.
And so I think an argument could be made that they don't belong there. This is just the first time that I've had a chance to look at it from this standpoint. But one thing that we cannot do is have two people representing the same post. That's pretty clear from the statute.
Right.
So if any of these delegates are a duplication of someone else, that's a problem. Same way with past presidents, for that matter. I think we need to take a look at all of that and make sure that we're on solid footing. Now, that doesn't solve the problem tonight. And frankly, the mechanics of this, we don't have the ability to tell a member that they don't, someone who's sitting here. The board doesn't, but the state's attorney's office does.
Right,
So who's ever behind this, I don't know who it was, but if they contact the state's attorney's office to have a look into it, there may be some.
Can we deal with it then?
and I think that's reasonable. We want,
Let's do
we
that.
want what's right. But I think, as Wayne said, we don't need to do anything now. I think we just let it ride to the election. Or the
Yeah, I
state's
think that
attorney's
makes a
office,
lot of
yeah.
sense from a lot of standpoints, that if some people don't like the way the board is made up, then they can present their slate
Absolutely.
in October.
I think
But-
that's,
It's just 3
Yeah, there's
months.
no use sitting there ashing it over
Yeah.
and again
I
in
agree.
another meeting. We wait till October.
My understanding was that it was always supposed to be a delegate plus an alternate in case the delegate couldn't make it to the meeting.
For the
Right.
post. but-
Right, but only one of them gets to vote,
Right.
period. If
Yeah.
they both show up, only one vote
One.
anyway.
right, right.
And I think that's what Chris was trying to address there.
Right.
But, all right,
So we're agreed to leave as is until the election,
Right.
or the state's attorney's office contacts us.
right.
Yeah, we got one going right now. This is not all that unusual.
Yeah.
We'll have a question then about Denise. Did you
That's
bring
the
up,
next question.
are you a voting member or not?
As the secretary, yes, I am. And the American Gold Star Mothers is congressionally federally chartered since 1928. And I have more than 15 members. And the home of record for the American Gold Star Mothers Northern Illinois chapter is Will County.
Then why was that a question?
Because,
15 members, maybe, I don't know.
yeah, 15 members, yeah, I have more than 15 members.
Could we make sure that we capture exactly what you just said so that we can address those questions?
It is recorded, and I said it at the last meeting.
So a special, the executive session is verbatim minutes, not just.
Well, we're not in executive
Okay, we're not
session.
in
Okay,
executive session,
okay.
we're in regular right now, number one. Two,
Okay.
it is being recorded, and I am condensing minutes, hadn't
Okay.
intended. I'm lucky I brought my laptop, because I didn't know our executive assistant who was hired for this isn't here. But again, for the record, American Gold Star Mothers is congressionally chartered since 1928. The Illinois Department chapter, I
You're the
am the
delegate.
president,
And you're the delegate.
I am the delegate, and we have more than 15 members and 15 paid.
I wasn't questioning, I was just questioning
And I'm
if it's
putting it,
settled. Good.
and I'm putting it on the record, and
And I think
Home of
that
record
when
is Will
these go
County.
out, people should give us a copy of their charter as well for our record.
well, that was another question. The charter, I was asked for DD 214s, which I have never seen.
Why, who asked you for the, why was it?
In the email from this office. Well, do you have a copy of all of the delegates in the DD 214s? No, I never received the DD 214s, and I would have a problem with having those transmitted over unsecured.
Right.
No. No,
DD 214's of who?
of the delegate and of the,
That's unnecessary. That's not
I'm
important.
in agreement, as I'm also in agreement that a copy of their charter isn't something that we should collect when we're collecting the delegates.
Delegate, it actually does say DD 214.
Because
in the
Article-
bylaws,
Article
it's
5 in the
part-
bylaws
Yeah.
says
If
each
it's-
delegate must be an honorable
If you
district.
have a DD
If
214.
it is
If
to
they're a
be
delegate,
turned in,
that's not our
it would not
responsibility,
be.
that's the responsibility of the post. not ours.
And it
Yeah.
also would not be appropriate to email that
Right.
over unsecured.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
Yeah, so
It's not our responsibility.
No, I
But
agree
in the
with-
bylaws, it does say within 30 days of being elected to the board, that the office has to have a DD 214 on file. So however, whether it's and be delivered or however it's brought in.
The next revision will delete that. These are not
So
big
it can be
problems.
checked.
These are easy.
Right, but just things that need to be addressed so we can dot all our i's, cross all our t's, and have everything squared away.
No issue is statutory.
Correct.
We have every right to request the charter.
I understand and I agree with that, but that again isn't something that would necessarily be communicated to me to make it. As the secretary, I was receiving from this office where they were sent in all of the delegate forms. But the originals of the delegate forms and anything else that would go with those delegate forms would be kept here. And the only reason I was doing that was because there was insufficient tracking on it, and I put it together a spreadsheet to make sure who got sent out, what came back in, etc. So I was doing that. But I was like the person that received it after it was received by the office.
Think about the 40 and 8, when it was formed in 1920, I mean, the same as the Legion, they were actually together till the 1960s, and then there was a separation there. And so I don't know how that separation occurred, if anything stayed, did they stay with their original, charter with the Legion or what? I
They
got.
did not. They did not. They became completely independent.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's something, they don't have a charter. They automatically use.
But it's still your right to investigate that as well.
Yeah, look it up, see if you can find it.
Okay,
I couldn't find it. Doesn't mean it
And just
doesn't
one
exist.
comment on that from something Diane said, if we don't have the person taking minutes, if she's not coming, we need to know in advance so that we can
It
be
was
prepared for that.
fortunate I had my laptop.
So we need to know in advance. Yeah, thanks.
okay. We're taking no action. then.
So we've established that everybody in the room is supposed to be in.
Right,
And again, that's an interesting point that you're bringing up. If it does come up that Well, then the state's attorney is filing that we have to comply with the state's charter, that Tom cannot be on the board, and Lisa, you're no longer here as a judge advocate. Because that's not, I mean, so there's levels to this that
But
aren't
she's not,
necessarily.
the difference is she's not a voting
Right,
member.
correct.
And our bylaws allow for that, and the bylaws don't conflict with the state statute, so I'm comfortable with.
You can
that.
add to the
Good.
law, so long as you don't restrict the law.
I want to
further.
make sure you're in the room.
Yeah.
Okay. Next item would be the approval of the minutes for the 4/26 commission meeting.
Chris, can we actually do that under the OMA exception?
Do what?
Do what?
Approve the minutes,
The closed minutes, I don't
the
think.
closed minutes.
thought
I
that
don't
was-
believe that that's
Yeah, you.
one of the exceptions.
We
It
did.
is not one of the exceptions, but logically,
I mean,
I think it's a logical extension of the fact that the original reason to go into executive session, you can't hardly, if this group decides that it's still confidential and sensitive information, we can't hardly start talking about it to do that.
Okay.
So I get it.
it's a,
I saw it right away.
Catch-22,
It is,
but-
it's a tough situation, and that's why I don't know any particular reason why that meeting, I was there. I can't think of any particular reason why it's that confidential at this point. And so I think it's appropriate to have a motion in open session to approve the close, or to approve the closed session minutes and make them available for public inspection. If someone doesn't like that idea, then I think they say, I move to go into executive session
Okay.
for that reason, and we
Okay.
discuss it.
Then I'll move.
We go into executive session, I'll
Okay.
second it,
Hold on just a second and let me.
but we aren't to that point yet.
No,
No,
There are two sets of minutes. There's the open minutes and the closed minutes. They are separate.
That's the case, maybe we should table this until the other closed session and talk about them at the same
So-
time.
how about we first address the open meeting minutes from 4/26?
So move. I can't, I'm just kidding, I can't, I wasn't there.
I need a motion,
Motion,
a second,
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, I
all in
wasn't there either,
favor,
so-
aye.
I do
Have you
have
read
some,
them? Can you-
do we ever do discussion before?
No,
we
I
do
just
that?
got them.
We should, I mean, that would be,
Yeah, it's
especially
like-
someone
I don't know
else.
what to say.
I mean, this is a roll call vote, isn't it? For motion.
They don't have to, oh, yes,
if you
no, I
made a
think you're
motion,
right,
it
I
should
think
be
you're
a-
right. I think it's-
So there, I don't I disagree with anything in the minutes, but there are some typos and I'm not going to go through them now. I'll just send them back to whoever wrote the minutes. Thank you.
This typo. Okay.
Okay, one
That's
moment, let me, because I gotta get these. put in. Okay, so, roll call vote,
I do have one correction.
okay,
I was not there, but I was excused.
Okay, who made the motion? Are you accepting the?
Diane made the
do you accept the amendment?
Denise
I
made a
accept the
Does the second
amendment.
accept the amendment?
Oh, that was me, yes.
Second, yes. Okay, now we need a roll call vote.
Jeff Pickle.
I don't need a vote, do I?
No, not on this.
Tiebreaker.
Hang on. Denise Williams,
mine wonderful.
I, yes. Amanda Coke,
Yes,
Jim Singler,
Yes,
Janet Blue,
Yes.
Steve, I know he's not here. Tom Milnick,
Yes.
and Wayne Horn,
Yes.
and Lisa doesn't get a vote on this.
I don't vote on this.
Mr. President, ask that it's unanimous.
Motion passed. Okay. What are we gonna do with the closed meeting?
Move to table until Closed
executive
session.
session.
Have later on.
We need to make a motion to do that.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion to table, a second.
Second.
In favor,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed. Table.
And that's just a voice vote. We don't have to do, because we're just tabling this.
Yeah, no.
Correct?
No roll.
That's correct.
Voice only.
Better be accurate. They had complaints. They'll be here.
All right. Our next
Very intense.
agenda item is under old business. The IGA
Don't have to go there.
discussion.
Okay, so what are we talking about here? Talk slowly, folks.
This is, the IGA I thought was in final form. And then the General Assembly in its infinite wisdom passed a new act. And that new act definitely changes at least some phrases of the preamble to the point where we don't want them in the preamble. We don't want them anywhere in the IGA because the act, one of the main parts of the act disconnects oversight, county oversight from VAC oversight of funds. That IGA was drafted in a different scenario than that, and it talks about this jointness that the old statute had in it. And if for no other reason, that needs to be corrected. Plus, I know for a fact that the county's not gonna authorize it either for the same reason. Because my boss has been directed to review that statute and the county wants to consider what changes, what that means. So I guess that's a long-winded way of saying that I need to, well, I would suggest we take no action. I don't think we need to table it or do anything. We just no action tonight. And then it'll come up again at a future agenda when it makes sense.
And you're working on it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I would suggest that another, I know Wayne and Jen was there too, and we had a meeting, and Lisa was there. And I think we should do that again for both the IGA and the next agenda item, the bylaws, because I'm about to say the same thing. So,
Is that part of the law that we got? Is that part of, was that changed in this, that what we got this?
yes, exactly. I think that's why you got it.
It's on the last page.
What's happening to?
Well, in the last couple.
The point that I think it's earlier on, I don't remember exactly what it is, if you want me to point it out.
Nah, that's all right. I went through it.
But it's.
No,
it-
Steve
it-
Menike is here. He's been waiting to get into the room. Excuse me.
No.
All right. Steve, hi. Glad that you're here. Eric, this is saying this is going to run out in less than 10 minutes.
Right, I
then-
see that.
Can you redo the Zoom and send the link to?
You are on the account. I'm just
All right.
signing into it. So
I'll redo the Zoom then, or,
hopefully it'll last long enough to get into the executive closed session. Then we can switch over to, well, now with Steve here. We may either have to create a new Zoom meeting
yes.
or just record it on the device, but with Steve here.
Well, Steve could call in.
Steve, you can call in on your phone for the closed session meeting because we do have a separate recording device for that.
Is that all right with you, Chris?
Yeah,
You can't have anything.
we're gonna have to go through the official request to join. Somebody's gonna have to make the motion.
All right. So Steve, are you hearing this? You're going to have to request.
It looks like you guys are in person.
All right, you're gonna have to request to join the closed session via your phone. We will make the motion and approve it, and then when this session ends, call in and we'll take care of it from there.
Which number is he calling?
Call in how?
There's a dial-up number.
I'm sorry?
There's a dial-up number in that
No,
email.
No,
he's not, we'll be using. Zoom.
you're not gonna be doing it through Zoom then, because that's gonna be the closed
Could
session.
he call your phone maybe?
Yeah, you can call my phone,
You can call my work phone.
815
Hang on. Okay,
919
919
7807.
7807.
Right. So when this pops off, just call that and I'll pull you in here. As long as, is somebody making a motion to approve Steve Beneke to call in?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
That's gonna have to be a
Aye.
voice vote.
I think, you know, the statute doesn't really say this, but I think if we have
I
participants
don't get it. What the fuck?
remotely, I think we should definitely have verbatim, just like we would if this were a meeting held by, okay. So,
We do,
Yeah.
we will have verbatim.
Do you have the packet for the closed session minutes?
Yes. Are there?
Okay, we hadn't finished on the idea of the review, have we?
We are going to ignore both of them.
yeah, I just, again, I have the same comment for the bylaws, that the bylaws now need to be re-reviewed in light of the new legislation and also.
Are you here? Steve,
Yes,
He's there.
you gotta get, disconnect from the Zoom.
So my
Because we
question
got you
was,
here.
Entirely,
From the Zoom, yes.
get on the Zoom, okay?
so how far back will that put us on the IGA? Because we were waiting for that to be.
I understand that, but
Okay, I
I guess I'd rather do it right.
Oh, no, absolutely. I
Yeah,
just
hold on
wanted
just a second, hold on just a second. We need to, this is point of order. First off, we did vote, a voice vote to allow Steve Beneke permission to join the meeting via the phone.
Correct.
Right,
And that was
unanimous.
and
unanimous.
then
Okay, Steve, you're here. I'm just trying to make sure we're following
No,
all of the
sure.
rules.
Okay. Well, I just have a quick question. Why are you in person? I thought this is a Zoom.
Zoom was gonna be an option because we wanted it to be an option. Janet didn't know that she was gonna be able to make it, and Eric is not able to be here. That's why the Zoom exists. And I don't know how and why
Yeah.
that was miscommunicated, and my apologies, but you're here. You're definitely here.
So, but I can't get in on Zoom then. I'm only,
Well, we took you off of the Zoom because the Zoom is about to shut down because it's only a 40-minute free thing, number one. Number two, we're gonna go into executive closed session. That would not be on the Zoom. So you need to be here on the phone so that you can be part of that.
okay, all
Okay?
right, okay.
okay, we settle on that now? He's in.
So Steve, we were just discussing the IGA, and I was asking Mr. Wise if how this would impact our decision on getting this IGA passed so that we could get on with business.
yeah, I suspect it's gonna set us back a minimum of a month, maybe more, because until the county board is comfortable making, I mean, they're not gonna tell us formally,
Right.
but we'll know
Right.
by talking to people. So I don't know the answer to your question,
Okay. So
but we'll do it as soon as we, as quickly as we can.
do we have a plan B for the commission? For anything they need in the interim that we were hoping to?
I think for now, if we're getting, specifically if you're referring to credit card approvals, we're just doing as we have been doing, getting permission from the board moving
Right.
forward, and that's worked just fine
Okay.
until now, so
Cool.
it's not gonna stop operations immediately.
That was my only concern.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I'm about to lose communication here.
Okay, we're just about ready for a motion to go in closed session.
So moved.
Second.
That has to be
Just say why.
a few more bells and whistles than
Right.
that. The motion has to be made to go into executive session with a finding that
For whatever purpose.
For the
Don't
Excel
we just,
reply.
don't we just repeat what's on the agenda, Chris?
no, if for litigation, you have to say, because we are not being sued that I'm aware of.
Right.
So it isn't because we're talking about an active lawsuit, it's talking about the possibility or probability. So
Probability.
someone has to make a motion. I find, that, because litigation is probable or imminent, for the reason that I don't even know I don't know why this motion.
See, actually, I have a question about that. I do not think that that's a probability at this point. If we're gonna have an audit, which is what I understand was passed at the last meeting,
Yes.
why would we not wait until that audit is complete?
Well,
Because the contract was already signed with the legal firm.
Well, that's something
Let's
we're gonna talk about.
stop because
Yeah.
we're in the middle of a procedural.
And that's why I'm
situation
saying
here.
that because the contract was already signed by the legal firm, with
No,
the
no,
legal firm.
No,
That's
we
not,
should be discussing that now.
No,
what I'm trying to figure
not
out how to say
important.
it.
we're in so deep, we need to be able
So
to
we need
speak
to just go
freely.
into the closed session.
All right.
We need to go
All I
into
can
closed
do is-
session.
But the
all I can do
first
is tell you
thing-
what the law is.
But the first thing we need to do, according to the Attorney General,
Just a few seconds about to lose recording.
demonstrate that you have a finding that litigation is probable
I don't agree.
or
with that.
imminent.
I don't think
So
it
that's-
should say
I can read
litigation,
it
I think it
black
should have
and
said
white.
contract
You
review.
don't,
or
no,
something.
you don't,
Can we hear from
you don't
you?
have
I
a
don't agree that
choice.
it's imminent.
Okay,
Oh,
You don't agree that it's
well,
eminent